What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we're going to be breaking down a bunch of the stats for the SMGs in Advanced Warfare. Now we already did this for the assault rifles. I'll make sure I leave a link to that in the description below if you're interested in seeing that. At the end of the video, I'll be sharing which SMG I feel is the best in the game. Let's get into it. Okay, so just like with my assault rifle video, all of these numbers were collected by me personally, and they aren't taken directly from the in-game code because those numbers simply aren't available yet. So keep in mind with my numbers, some of them are a little bit approximated, especially the rate of fire. They were calculated to the best of my ability, but they were all calculated in the exact same way. So they may not be exactly what the numbers in the in-game code says, but it'll be pretty close and they'll definitely be good for comparison's sake. So let's get right into the stats. And just like what we did with the assault rifles, I decided to separate the SMGs into different categories. So we have 4 SMGs that are what I would consider to be regular SMGs. They're fully automatic and you can aim down sight with them. Then we have one SMG, which is the ARM9, or AMR9, sorry. And that's a 5-round burst SMG. And then finally we have the SAC3, which is an akimbo only SMG. So let's start it off with the AMR9, which is a 5-round burst SMG. As you can see, for BTK, which means bullets to kill, just in case you haven't seen the assault rifle video where I already explained that, it took a minimum of 5 bullets to kill, but it's really hard to calculate with a burst weapon, especially one with a really high fire rate. It's really hard to calculate exactly how many bullets it'll take to kill at different ranges, because it's almost impossible to tell if it was the third bullet in the burst or the 4th bullet in the burst that actually finished the kill. So I know it takes at least 5 bullets to kill, at least that's what it seemed like. And I will show you guys right now the one-hit kill range, or the one burst kill range for the AMR9. And this is assuming no headshots, and it's also assuming that you hit every one of your 5 shots in a single burst. So as you can see, it's a pretty terrible range. You have to get quite close to be able to get that one burst kill. So this one isn't really designed to be a one burst kill machine. It's supposed to be like multiple bursts to get a kill. And at least the fire rate is quite fast. The average fire rate, so this is including the burst delay, so the time between each burst, the average fire rate is around 700 RPM or rounds per minute. But in reality, each burst fires extremely fast. There's just a bit of delay between those bursts. And this burst delay is actually 0.167 seconds according to my calculations. That might be just a little bit off, but it's pretty close. Next we have the reload time, which is 1.74 seconds, and that's actually pretty fast. It's not too bad when you compare it to the other SMGs as well as the assault rifles. And you have a magazine capacity of 35 rounds. So overall, my thoughts on the AMR9 is I think it's going to be sort of like a novelty weapon. I feel like it's going to turn out to be something like the Chicom did in Black Ops 2. Where it's not really very many people's go-to weapon, but it is a weapon that can compete up close, and it's not terrible, it's just not the greatest. So now let's cover the SAC3 before we actually move on to the normal SMGs. So the SAC3 is an akimbo-only SMG, so you can only dual-wield these, and you can't aim down sight with them. And because you can't aim down sight, calculating the bullets to kill is a little bit ridiculous at any sort of extreme range, but I do know right up close it takes at least 4 bullets to kill. As for the range, again, just because it's an akimbo weapon, the range is terrible. Now, you can attach a laser sight to the SAC to improve your hip spread, but it's still not going to be viable at any sort of longer ranges. As for your rate of fire, each gun does about 575 rounds per minute, which is pretty slow, but when you think about the fact that you're firing 2 at once, you can actually double this number, and now you're suddenly at over 1100 RPM, which is by far better than all of the other SMGs in the game. And also, we have a magazine capacity of 32 rounds per gun, but we have 2 guns at the same time, so we can again multiply that by 2, and we have 64 rounds available to us before we have to reload. Alright, so now that we've got the oddballs over with, let's get into the more normal SMGs. So for this, we have 4 SMGs. We have the KF5, the MP11, the ASM1, and the SN6. For the number of bullets it takes to kill, the KF5 actually kind of reminds me of the MTAR in Ghosts because it has almost assault rifle-like bullets to kill. It takes only 3 bullets to kill up close, and at a long range, it only takes 4 bullets to kill, which is really impressive for an SMG, so obviously it has the best-in-class range. Now, one thing that I really have to mention here is my long range testing, so where it kills in 6 bullets for a lot of these SMGs. That is at an extreme range for an SMG, but it's not necessarily as far as I could possibly get away from my target for this testing. So it is possible that some of these SMGs actually deal a lower damage at an even longer range, but there is no way that you would ever challenge a gunfight with an SMG beyond the range that I was testing at. The only way that you'd get a kill with an SMG at the range that I was testing at is if your enemy was standing completely still like he was for me. So now that I've cleared that up, let's get back into the ranges. The MP11 kills in 4 shots up close and 6 shots at a distance, which is not so great. It's okay, I guess. The ASM1 is a little bit better, killing in 3 bullets up close and 6 bullets at a long range. And finally, the SN6 kills in 4 bullets up close, as well as 6 bullets at a longer range. Now, before we move on to the range comparison of these SMGs, you'll notice in the chart it says odd range for the ASM1. This takes a little bit of explaining before we actually compare the other SMGs. So the ASM1 has almost a non-existent 4-shot kill range. So as you can see right here, it's a 5-hit kill on your top screen if you're standing that close to an enemy, but if you take just 1 or 2 steps forward, it's suddenly a 3-hit kill, which is a little bit strange. Normally you don't see a drop-off that steep, but it is a very steep drop-off. So now that we've got that covered, we can start comparing the SMGs to each other. So there's only 2 SMGs that kill in 3 hits, and that is the KF5 and the ASM1. And as you can see, the KF5's 3-hit kill range is significantly better than the ASM1, and it's actually not too bad at all. So the KF5 is the clear winner as far as the range goes. So moving on to the 4-hit kill range, like I said, the ASM1 doesn't really have a proper 4-hit kill range, so I'm going to ignore that, and we'll just compare the MP11 and the SN6 here. So the MP11 has a very short 4-hit kill range, so you have to be quite close to be able to get a kill in just 4 shots. And the SN6 is actually not too bad for a 4-shot kill range. It's about equal to the 3-shot kill range of the KF5 though. So overall, the KF5 is clearly the best in class. The MP11 is probably the worst out of all of them. The ASM1 has that very odd range where it drops off very steeply, so it does get a 3-shot kill, but then it goes straight to a 5-shot kill pretty much, and that 5-shot kill extends pretty far. And then the SN6 is about average. It's a nice balance. It's not too bad, but it's not too good either. Moving on to the rate of fire, the KF5, the ASM1, and the SN6 all have pretty similar rates of fire of around between 730 and 740 rounds per minute. They're all very comparable. And then the MP11 comes out on top against all of these at 885 rounds per minute. As for the time to kill, up close the KF5 and the ASM1 are clearly the leaders here because they kill in just 3 shots up close, whereas the other ones are all 4 shots. And at a distance, as you can see, the KF5 again comes out on top for time to kill by quite a bit because it kills in just 4 shots at a longer range. Moving on to the reload time, again the KF5 comes out on top and is the clear winner here, although they all reload pretty quickly aside from the ASM1, which is over 2 seconds. And finally, for magazine capacity, the KF5 has a magazine capacity of 40 rounds, the MP11 is 32 rounds, ASM1 is 45, and finally the SN6 is 32. Now before we wrap this up and make our decision on which SMG is the best, we have to look at some recoil plots to see what their recoil characteristics are like. The KF5 and MP11 are actually pretty good as far as recoil goes, but I would say the AMR9 comes out on top as far as recoil, just because it's a burst weapon, so it has time to recenter itself before or between each burst, and therefore it is quite accurate even at a longer range. The ASM1 kicks almost straight vertical and pretty extreme, but it's very predictable recoil. And the SN6 kicks a little bit up and to the right, and it's quite varied, so it's a lot harder to predict, and it's a lot harder to hit your target with the SN6. So overall, looking at all of the SMGs together, I would say the SAC-3 as well as the AMR-9 are kind of novelty weapons that are fun for a change of pace, but aren't really truly competitive with a lot of these other SMGs. You could maybe argue that the AMR-9 is, but the SAC-3 is more just for fun for a change of pace, and I wouldn't really call it a competitive SMG. So overall, I kind of hate to say it, but the KF5 is clearly the best SMG in the game based on these stats, and also based on my experience with the SMGs. Unfortunately, it seems like it isn't balanced very well if there is an SMG that clearly comes out on top in almost every category. So that's your answer. If you guys are wondering, the best SMG in the game, at least at the time of launch, it will likely get nerfed based on these stats. but at the time of launch, the KF5 is clearly the best SMG in the game. So I'd like to hear your guys' opinion in the comment section below. Based on your experience, what is your favorite SMG to use? Not necessarily the best SMG, but what is your favorite SMG to use in the game? Do you really like using the really dominant KF5, or do you prefer having fun with something like the SAC-3, or perhaps one of these other ones is your favorite SMG just based on feel? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you're new to the channel, I encourage you to check out some more of my content and just see if my channel is for you. I focus this channel on helping people improve at Call of Duty, and not just the cheesy tips and tricks that you see from a lot of other channels. I actually want to help you guys improve at Call of Duty. So if you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.